Hello and welcome to another Writer's Showcase. I'm your host, Lord Captain Commander Dunn. Please, let me welcome our guest, starting with the bomb.com himself.
Is everything ready? Do it.
Thousands of souls extinguished by the push of a button.
Understand, Yuri. This is only the beginning.
Welcome, everybody. Hello. This time I was prepared.
Hey, we're just glad to have you. All right,
Yeah.
Let's bring in the bard.com.
Here's to the bard and a pollen me plum. Here's to the beast and the rest of you scum. The cage is locked in and the town is aflame. And it's ours for the taking, though you get the fame.
Happy Sunday, everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going wonderful.
Awesome.
Great. Alrighty. Loud noise warning. Welcome, we'll see ya.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. How is everyone today?
Actually, quite good. I actually successfully made food today, like dinner.
Oh,
Awesome.
nice. Wait, an echo on whose end?
I think it might be just your voice modulation, but let's bring in Carl Saylor.
Frataco!
Welcome.
Folks. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello, Carl.
All right. So the gang's all here. All
I think
that's
so.
coming today. At least.
I hope so.
Yep. All right. Let's shall we start clockwise?
Clockwise, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right.
All right. You're up first, Johan.
All right. Allow me to just grab everything. Yep. All right. I'm going to be starting the clock. If you hear the beep, then, well, you know, it's over probably. 50 minutes max. So. Chapter 1. The beginning of something purple. Oh, there you go. Come on. Do it. Yeah, there you go. It's a lovely summer day, and the girls finally arrive at Smushy's, the local smoothie bar. The girls take their seat near the big window. After waiting a few minutes, Jessica, the owner of the bar, walks towards them. After laying down 3 menu cards on the table, with a lovely smile, she introduces herself and asks, "Hello, my name is Jessica. Welcome to Smushy's. What can I get you on such a lovely day?" The girls look at their menu cards for a few minutes and discuss what they want to get. Shortly after that, they put down their menu cards and with a gentle smile, Mina replies, "Well, we'd like to have the strawberry with apple smoothie, please." After that, she puts her book down, The Lonely Rock, on the table and starts reading it. "Excellent choice. I'll get them delivered at your table soon. Here, take this," Jessica says as she gives Lola a wooden popsicle stick with the number 3 on it. Lola examines the popsicle stick, and she asks, "Ma'am, what do we need? What do we need to use these for?" With a gentle smile, On her face, Jessica replies, "Well, you give them to the waiter when they come to deliver your smoothies, and when you are finished or want to buy more smoothies, go to the counter where I'll be happy to take your order again." After that, she waves goodbye. Waves goodbye and walks back to the counter to help another customer. As the girls wait for their order to arrive, Rufina starts looking at Mina's book. "Well, what are you reading today, Mina?" Rufina asks, as curiosity is shown in her eyes while she looks at the big amount of text that is represented on each page. "Oh, it's just a chapter of one of my favorite books. That's about the three stones in the magical circle, and somehow they got separated. Now it's up to the old man to find a way to get to get the three stones back together, or bad things will happen to its hometown." Mina explains as she feels the urge to keep reading even more pages. Rufina tries to get her attention again, but it seems that she is charmed by the story, wanting to know more about the ending and its mysteries. Minutes go by, and the waiter finally arrives at the table with their smoothies in hand. Lola hands over the popsicle stick to the waiter and thanks him for the smoothies. After that, the waiter places the smoothies in the middle of the table and goes off helping a different customer. The bright sun causes the smoothies to turn a bit orange, as Lola takes one of the smoothies off the table and starts to drink it. Rufina puts her left arm over Lola's shoulder and points towards the clear blue sky and asks, "So, what is your favorite place to go this summer?" While looking at Lola with a smirk on her face. What? Hey, why are you smirking like that?" Lola replies with confusion clearly shown as she almost choked on her drink. A moment of silence falls to the table as she tries to read Rufina's attention. Her face begins to slowly turn red with each passing second as she can't figure out what Rufina tries to get at. Shortly after, the silence is broken as Rufina slams both her hands on the table, causing the drinks to shake and almost spill over all over the table. "Oh my God! You didn't know. Ethan just got this job at the new swimming pool as a lifeguard in training. Think about all the wonderful moments you two will have together when he sees you in that new swimsuit you bought yesterday." Lola's face immediately turns fully red as she hears those words coming out of Rufina's mouth. As Rufina tries to make Lola blush even more than she already is, Mina stands up and moves behind her. Rufina doesn't seem to mind and continues her conversation with Lola, but in a sudden blink of an eye, Rufina is grabbed by her ear. "How many times I have to tell you to keep your strength under control? You almost got our drink spilled all over the table," Mina says with anger in her softly spoken voice, as she starts to drag Rufina away from Lola. "But I didn't I? So I haven't done anything wrong, really. So what's the problem then?" Rufina replies as she tries to slowly but gently remove Mina's grip on her ear to escape the situation. Mina looks at her again. After that, she tightens her grip on Rufina's ear, and with a strict look in her eyes, she stares at her and says, "Well, I'll tell you what's wrong. Your reckless behavior made one of my favorite books all wet and sticky." Mina looks at Rufina with a stern facial expression. Shortly after that, she lets go of Rufina's ear and reveals the book to both of them that she was reading just minutes ago. As both girls take a better look at Mina's book, they can see it's now soaked with the sugary drinks the girls just ordered. Oh my. Your book looks totally ruined. I don't think you will be able to return it looking like that, Lola says with a worried face towards Mina. Mina points towards Rufina and says, "Of course not. I cannot return it looking like that. After all, it's all her fault." Rufina's face begins to look very nervous. Slowly, Rufina starts moving backwards to the towards the bar as Mina grabs her hand. Her voice starts to crack a bit as she tries to avoid eye contact with Mina. "Where do you think you're going, Rufina? I think you owe me an apology. After all, you are the one that caused all of this to happen," Mina says as she tries to look Rufina in the eye. "Well, I'm deeply sorry about what happened to you, Mina. I'll pay for the drinks this time. I'm so sorry. If you would let go of my hand now, I'll like to pay off our bill." After hearing this, Mina looks pleased with the apology that Rufina just gave to her. "Thank you. I believe I went a little bit too far myself as well, but you know how much these books mean to me." Mina replies as her voice is calm and gentle once again. After that, she lets go of Rufina's hand, and within seconds, Rufina starts moving hastily towards the counter, wanting to do the deed as fast as possible. Normally, Mina would have been calm and gentle person towards such a small accident, but her love towards books is very strong, especially for the old detective novels like The Mirror Wall and The Ruined Maze. As Rufina reaches the counter, she sees that Jessica is busy looking for something underneath. Not wanting to wait, she tries to get her attention. "Excuse me, miss. I'd like to get the bill for table 25. Rufina says impatiently. Well, I'm a bit busy right now. Damn it! Where are they?" Jessica replies as a strong frustration is clearly heard in her voice. "Well, I'm in a little bit of a hurry, so would there be anyone else I could ask to get the bill for table 25? Please?" Rufina asks politely. Jessica stands up and opens the door to the side of the counter. "Jeremy, get over here!" she says with an Arthurian voice while returning to look underneath the counter. A tall man in his 20s with dark blonde brown hair comes out of the door that just has been opened and takes a stand near the counter. "Good day, miss. How can I help you today?" he asked as he glimpsed over the counter, only to see a messy table where the girls just had their drinks. "Well, I'd like to have the bill for table 25 and a choco bump to go, please," Rufina quickly replies as she nervously looks back, only to see that Lola is cleaning up their messy table. After a minute has passed, Jeremy comes back with a chocolate cupcake in hand. Rufina looks at the cash register machine to see how much she needs to pay and hands over the money. With a gentle smile towards Rufina, Jeremy says, "Don't you worry, miss. Accident like that happened. There is no need to be ashamed of it." He sees that Rufina is still occasionally looking back at the table after making eye contact with him. As Rufina hears this, her worried face begins to slowly disappear. "Thank you," she says while looking at the nameplate on Jeremy's uniform. "Jeremy, isn't it? Right? Well, thank you for lifting my spirit, but I need to go now. The rest of my friends are waiting for me," Rufina says hastily as she sees Mina and Lola are packing their things at their table. She grabs the cupcake and rushes towards Mina and Lola again. As she arrives at the table, she is finally reunited again with the other two girls, and with a swift move, She hands over the cupcake and to Mina and says, "Here, I like you to have this to make up for my mistake I made. I feel bad for what I did, and I promise I won't. It won't happen again. I pinky swear it." As she raises her as she raises her pinky, and waits for Mina to accept it. Mina smiles and accepts Rufina's offer. And with all now forgiven, the girls pack up their things and decide to take the long route towards the local library to return Mina's book. As the girls are halfway towards the local library, Mina's eyes start to glow blue. Shortly after that, a sudden green flash shows up in the clear blue sky, followed by a dust cloud at the nearby construction site. Lola looks at the dust cloud that is coming from the construction site, and with a worried face, she asks, "Mina, what's that?" Well, it looks like a magical crystal just crashed at the construction site. By the looks of it, it seems to be possessing the power to control the earth and light. We should check it out. It's very strange for a crystal to have two powers. Mina says as her eyes start glowing even brighter. Lola and Rufina both agree on Mina's decision, and so the girls decide to go to the construction site to check out the newfound crystal. As the girls arrive at the construction site, the dust cloud finally disappears, revealing a house that is no longer in a great shape. Its wooden beams are broken that are supposed to be holding up the roof, but it's collapsed under the impact of the crystal that just crashed. When the girls carefully move closer to see the impact on the house, their crystal necklaces start to glow, and the girls' hair starts to change to the corresponding colors of their crystals. As Rufina finishes her transformation first, she feels the crystal energy racing through her body. After that, she asks, "So, what's the plan, Mina? Do you think it's dangerous, or could it be one of those rock lizards again? Wow, I would love to see if I can beat one of those things myself this time." "I hardly doubt that, since I took a look into the crystal and it seems to be harmless, but something else is coming for it. Since we already know that the crystal is magical, it might give that thing new powers, and we cannot allow that to happen. So, Lola, would you be so kind to run over there and bring back the crystal that is located underneath those piles of broken wooden beams?" Mina replies as she points towards the location inside of the collapsed house. Ooh. Hey, there you go. Done.
All right.
50 minutes have been done.
All right.
Alrighty. Yeah, I very much improved from the last time you
Spoke.
Well, I was just the last time you read that chapter. Since this is a repeat in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's a repeat. It's a re-edit.
Interesting. Well, I guess we are allowed to do such a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much improved in a lot of ways.
I hope in grammar too.
Yeah, the grammar was a lot better, yeah.
Personally, I just noticed a few stutters, but honestly, I cannot fault you for that.
Well, at least, this time the stutters were not too much, and I was reading off the program that I have been using to create the visual novel, so that's why there were some paces.
I also noticed halfway through listening that I pay better attention when I am doing any sort of hobbying thing while listening, which is why I was able to catch the second half of your presentation a lot better than the first. So yes, it was never simply that, oh, the person wasn't presenting something interesting. It was more like my brain needs to be doing something while also listening to something.
If I do something and then listen, I won't listen. That's my problem.
Exact
Each
polar
brain
opposite.
wired differently.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm happy that I didn't stutter too much this time. I'm very happy about that.
So let me get it straight. We had these two characters who went over to a restaurant, I presume,
There were
and
three.
then a what?
There were three, not two.
Oh, three. Okay.
Yes.
And something happens at a construction site.
Yes, when they
Involving
are going
magical
towards the
powers.
library.
Okay. Interesting. So it's in urban fantasy, yeah?
Yes, technically yes. It's a local library where they go to, and there is also a new swimming pool opened, and therefore, they technically, because it's now already summer, they want to have their summer vacation spent somewhere. So they walk around and do stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I
You
don't
need
have...
more information? I will happily ask. Will happily answer.
Oh, well, I presume this is an opening chapter, correct?
This is the
Beginning?
first chapter. Yes, I already have done the outro of it as well. I believe here on this channel. I'm currently working on creating the visuals of that outro, or in what is it? Prelogue. There you go. Prelogue. Much better word for it. Prelogue.
Prologue.
So yeah, the prologue, prelogue, prologue, both. Right. It's the beginning of everything. The whole point of why the green crystal is landing, that it is landing. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And the whole point is that the whole point of Mina knowing where the crystal is because she can read magic. The main downside of it is that she doesn't actually have any more magical powers than that. She can cast magic because she knows magic, but that's it.
All
She's
she can do
limited.
is identify.
Yeah, she can do she can do identify, and she learns some basic spells, but the rest of the girls have far better powers. Like Rufina has the power of strength, while Lola has the power of speed. However, those two come with downsides, which is a problem.
Well, that's
That is
most certainly an interesting trade-off.
Yeah, it's like you have the power of the Hulk, but when the powers go down, you immediately feel every single fucking bone of your body being broken.
Ouch.
So whenever Banner transforms, then
Well, aftermatch, you beat it up some dude, and you're like, "Ow! Why I have so much sore thumb?" That's why she felt so energetic with the crystal going activation, because it gives you far more endurance, far more numbness towards pain, and then when you finished, you realize that you have broken one of your arms, and then you need to go to the hospital for a week.
Yikes! That just sounds like it sucks.
that's a monkey's
It's a very
paw power.
It's a very bad power. Yes, it's a
That's a
power that's
monkey's
really
paw.
good. It would be a very good power if you had it on a monster. If a monster would have this power, it would have been phenomenal, because a monster has far better fatigue, far better physique, but she doesn't. It's just a girl, and she is a little bit more active than the rest of them. Mina is far more of a book nerd than anybody else in that group, and Lola is far too shy to admit anything. That's the whole point. That's the dynamic of the tree. And then you have different. Every crystal has its own downside. Like the green crystal has its downsides, but nobody knows because we clearly not have read it yet, which is nice. Yeah. And then you also have bad guys, but the bad guy of something purple is very fun.
All right. Well, you've definitely got this all thought out.
Yes, that's why I'm writing it.
Well, I mean, it's you'd be
I'm
surprised how many people just start writing it without really having everything jotted down first.
Well, I will be happy if next week I will finish off where I have left. Let's put it that
Oh,
way.
yeah, same over here.
Because right now we're actually in the part where things are gonna get happening, as you probably already noticed. Like, yeah, it's a construction site. Something happened, and now they are gonna be discovering stuff, and that is important for the whole chapter, because the first of the chapter has nothing to do with purple,
No.
as you probably have noticed. It is just for technically the first part of the chapter is just an excuse to get to the construction site, which is normal. You need to have a good excuse to get to the action scenes, right? Otherwise, it would be very silly.
Well, yeah.
Fair enough.
Wouldn't start with an action scene in the middle of nowhere, like "haha, we are fighting," and then you start with "it was a lovely summer day when everything went well."
Yeah.
Or you could show the fight, one of them about to get killed, and then please,
Yes.
you're probably wondering how we got here. Anyway, it started a long time ago.
When that bastard named Derek was busy doing his job, not right.
You need to type into the script record scratch. Hi, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here.
If I'm being honest, that's when I turn the movie off. I go, okay, fuck off. I don't care.
Because then you already have spoiled everything, and that makes it not fun to read. If you want to have mysteries, like why is the chapter called something purple? Well, there must be something purple in this chapter to represent it. And what does this green crystal? Why does it have 2 powers? If every crystal only has 1 power, that's stupid. Like, why would it have to? And then you come to the realization, like, oh, in the prelogue there was something going on, and maybe that explains why the green crystal has 2 powers instead of 1. And then you come to the realization then you figure out when the girls are working on the green crystal, figuring things out by going to the library, and then you get the point. I'm probably getting blamed for ruining the book.
Nah, it's fine.
It's fine. They're main characters. They can do nothing wrong.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I think it is
Yes.
Sir Tarek's turn.
All right, so I got something a little different for you guys this time. This is going to require some context before I can start, though. About 10 years ago, back when I was a wee Tarek, there was a comic online that I read and met a bunch of friends through. And essentially what the comic was about a boy named Jonathan. Sorry, I'm trying to put this in the right context. It was about a boy named Jonathan who sold his soul to a succubus named Kaylee. No, wait. Noel, I apologize. Mixed up the characters.
Wait a second, this sounds like the beginning of a hentai.
It wasn't a hentai, I can promise you that much. It was to put it bluntly, a BDSM shenanigans comic. That's what it was.
Okay. Well, there
That
we go.
doesn't make it anything
That's-
less worse.
That's way better, Totally.
It was not a traditional sexualized comic. It was more about the fetish than it was about like two people going at it, if you follow what I'm saying.
Well, if you have seen hentai, you go watch hentai for the story, right?
Point is, and actually, I have to say, the person who did the comic, he was very good at relationships. He was very good at demonstrating relationships. So the guy Jonathan is now living in this mansion in hell with fuck. I'm sorry. I read it the other week and I'm just trying to remember the names. I apologize. Kaylee was a fallen angel who lived in this mansion. God. Vicky was the name of the mistress of the house. She was the one who owned all three of them, technically. And the final one, the one who actually did the deal, and I apologize, I have no idea why I'm blanking on this name. Fuck. All right, you know what? I'll find it when I start reading. Anyways, the whole entire premise of the entire comic was that he had to live there a year with them, and then at the end of that year he'd be allowed to go because the deal was not actually binding, if you will. There was a loophole in it. I think it was something about like the way the deal was constructed. And was the setup for the comic. Now, what this comes in was the guy had a contest, and it was Noel. It was Noel. That was the one who still bought his soul. Anyways, there was a contest, and I got to thinking, what if he did leave? What if he decided that he didn't want to be here anymore after a year? What would that do to a person? And that is what was, and that's what inspired this story. So if you're still comfortable with this done, I'll go ahead. I just want to make sure that you don't want to
go for it. I
it.
read for 69. You're totally fine.
Fair enough. All right. So anyways, that's where this story starts 5 years later after he was freed. I woke from my slumber the same night I did every night, sweating, gasping for air, and wishing the dream was real. I pulled the covers off me and swung my legs over to the side of my bed and sat there. Instinctually, I placed my hand on my face and started to rub the sleep from my eyes. When I finished, I looked into my bedroom mirror. What reflected back at me was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed 20-something-year-old with bedhead and a pretty effeminate face. Turning away from the mirror, I looked at my clock. The number 12 o'clock and the word Saturday was illuminated in the red contrasting with the black background. I slowly got up and looked up towards my window and looked into the night sky. Despite it being late, there were no stars, but the lights from the city nearby called to me like a siren, with a crescent moon hanging overhead like a taunting smile. I sighed and got up, then walked to the bathroom, turned on the sink, and splashed some warm water on my face. I opened the mirror cabinet and brought out my toothbrush as well as the toothpaste. I didn't know why. I wasn't intending on going anywhere. As I placed the toothpaste and closed the cabinet, my toothbrush dropped out of my hand as I saw someone reflected in the mirror with me. She was a young woman in her 20s. A young woman in her 20s was standing behind me. Her brown hair was parted in the middle, and on her cute, almost childlike face were large, thick, black-rimmed glasses. She was wearing a black corset along with matching gloves. She had small black demon wings jetting out of her back and a thick black collar around her neck. "It's been a while, Jonathan. You've grown up quite a bit since you left us," the girl said with an amused smirk. Every word that exited her lips was alluring and would melt any man's heart, but for even after all this time, I could still hear the mischief it hid. I let out a gasp as her leather gloves rubbed against my flesh. Everything from the texture of the glove to the heat of her breath felt so real. "I see you kept your figure," she said, wrapping her arms around me and kissing my neck. "And look, your old clothes still fit." As I looked back at my own reflection, I could not only see, but feel my old outfit. My hand touched the black leather straps that wrapped around my shoulder and covered my chest, but left my navel exposed. I could feel the thick black collar around my neck, along with the black latex gloves and pants around my legs. The black latex pants and boots around my legs. I turned to confront the girl, but found no one there. When I turned back to the mirror, the clothing and feeling had disappeared. Tears dripped down my cheeks as I looked at my naked torso. "No, please come back. There's no way it could have been her, could it?" I growled and shook my head. After my encounter, I decided to walk towards the city in hopes to clear my head. The streets were busy, even for midnight on a Friday. People were going in and out of restaurants, bars, and clubs as college kids were like me, and even some older folks were enjoying a night on the town. Yet, despite all the noise and distractions, none of them could tear me away from my encounter, and all my thoughts were focused on one thing. "Noel, I said quietly as I looked into the crescent moon, its shape reminding me of her mischievous smile. There was once a time when the two of us were almost inseparable, in some cases literally so. The more I thought about her, the more memories came flooding back of my time with her, both good, bad, and the bad, but all of them sweeter than any candy. I eventually found myself walking through a crowd of people when I suddenly stopped, annoying the people behind me. I didn't even notice the annoyed glares I received, as all my attention was focused on a girl leaning against a wall, texting on her phone. She had the most beautiful, naturally looking blonde hair. Her white top tightly hugged her double D chest with tight white pants hugging her thick waist. Yet, despite her alluring figure, her soft, frowned face made her look so innocent, like an angel. Kaylee? I questioned, just as I was about to approach her. She was suddenly surrounded by a bunch of other girls. Hey, everyone, she giggled in her sing-song tone. A moment later, they all merged with the crowd. I tried to follow them, pushing people out of the way, trying my damnedest to follow. Yet, after a few moments, I lost all sight of them and became lost in the crowd of people. Kaylee, come back, please, I pleaded, wanting to fall onto the sidewalk in despair. After my encounter with Kaylee, I found myself in the seedier part of town, where the more risque nightclubs resided. I didn't know where my feet were leading me, as I had lost control of them long ago. But when I finally stopped, I found myself outside one of the more popular clubs, Venus's Thorn. I had moonlighted here many times since I had left my old home. It was funny. In hindsight, most people would have been nervous or scared at their first time at a place like this. For me, this might as well have been the most relaxing and familiar place on the planet. I flashed my ID to the doorman, and he nodded, opening the door for me. The moment I crossed the threshold, I was met with music. It sounded like some alternative punk rock band I've never heard of. The main room was full of people, some covered head to toe in either leather or latex. Some were in full-on camp gear that covered them from head to toe as well. Others were just about naked, leaving very little to the imagination. There was a smell in the air, a mixture of ecstasy, fear, joy, and pleasure overall, scents I knew all too well. I took a seat at the bar and ordered a drink from the pink-haired bartender. She nodded and picked up a bottle of vodka. As she did, I turned around and looked out to the room. I saw one man wearing little more than a thong and boots kneeling at the foot of his mistress, her boot-covered feet using him as like a footstool. I watched one dom talk to another as he held the leash to his boy and his girl sub in his hands. Hello, Jonathan, a black-haired mistress in a black latex corset and thigh-high stiletto boots said to me. Hello, Miranda, I said with a polite smile, grabbing my vodka martini off the counter. If I had known you'd be here tonight, I wouldn't have promised my time to this little piggy, Miranda said, dragging a man in full latex by the collar. I nodded. I didn't think I'd be here either tonight. Well, don't go anywhere. Once I'm done with him, I'm coming after you, Miranda said with a wink as she walked away with her toy in tow. So, is that who you got to replace me? I nearly spit out my drink. I knew that sultry voice anywhere. It was the voice that had been in every one of my sweetest dreams and most horrifying nightmares. I turned to my right and found a woman in a black latex leotard with purple trimmings around it, and had similar matching gloves and boots. In a lot of ways, she looked like Noelle, but her hair was a darker brown and curlier. The biggest difference, though, was her purple eyes. They radiated power, dominance, and authority. One look at this woman would have had even the most confident dom on their knees in awe of her power. Vicky? I said, scarcely unable to believe it was her. She said nothing, but instead gently took my hand and led me into the direction of the private rooms. As we walked away, I noticed more than a few glares from the other mistresses and masters as they gave dirty, jealous looks. When we reached the room, I closed the door behind me and locked it. Then I turned around and found the woman sitting on a red velvet throne with a glass of red wine propped in her fingers. Vicky, I said again, my heart racing and feeling lighter than air. She smiled and placed her glass down on a table that looked like a person kneeling. It's been a long time, Jonathan. Her voice was neutral and relaxed, but at the same time powerful. 5 years, Vicky. It's been 5 years since, I said, my voice shaking and my heart sinking. You seem upset, Jonathan. Did you really miss me that much? I've missed everyone. You, Noelle, Kaylee, it's not been the same without you, I said, unable to hold back my tears any longer as they stung my face. Well, we've missed you too. Tell me what you've been doing since you've been released. She asked, sounding genuinely concerned as she took a sip of her wine. I've been trying to lead a normal life. I got a job. I'm attending college. Yet it all feels so hollow and meaningless. Hold on one moment. Sorry about that. There was a knock at the door. Okay. I had clenched my hands into a fist, both of which now were shaking by my side, my tears in free fall. I've been coming to this damned bar every couple of weeks, trying to recapture just even the smallest bit of the high you gave me. What you did to me, it was like a drug, and I've tried to fight it, but I can't. Every mistress and master I've been with since I left you has led to nothing but disappointment. Not a single one of them could bring me where you did. I yelled at her, wanting to collapse, almost collapsing onto the floor in a ball. A moment later, I found Vicky enveloping me around her, holding my head to her breasts as she gently stroked my hair. Jonathan, did you really expect you to be able to live a normal life? Especially after what I put you through? She asked in an comforting, almost loving tone. I'll admit you were strong-willed and are to be commended for that, but you were with me for a year. Did you really think any mortal, demon, or angel would be able to take you where I have? Then why did you let me go? I whimpered. I'm a woman of my word, Jonathan. I made you a promise. But do you remember what I offered before you left? I nodded. Of course I remembered her offer. Not a day went by when I hadn't wondered whether I'd made the right choice or not. You said I could stay with you and everyone forever, and I could live for an eternity in your care, I sniffled. And yet you still decided to go home, Vicky taunted. I thought I could break your spell. I thought if I just tried to live my life again, things would go back to normal. But after the first month, I found myself here, trying my damnedest to feel something even close to when I was with you. No matter the dom, no matter the technique, none of them are as good as you. And when I wasn't with them, I was dreaming of being back with you and everybody. I fell to my knees and stared into the purple abyss of her eyes. Please, take me home. I want my old life back. Jonathan, you flatter me, but why should I take you back? You're the one who chose to leave. How do I know you wouldn't want to leave again? She asked, looking down at me, her powerful gaze now overwhelming. I can't live a normal life anymore. I don't know how to live one. You broke me in the one way I couldn't predict. And now all I want to be is your demon candy, I told her as I felt tears coming on again. The smile that Vicky gave was one I would never forget. It was an image that would forever be engraved into my mind for an eternity. It was the smile that said, I won. Very well, Jonathan. I'll take you back. But for me to do this, I must ask one thing of you, she said with a smile. You want my soul again, right? I asked, laughing. You're such a smart boy. Well, you can have it. I don't even want a Klondike bar this time, I joked. Vicky giggled and waved her hand as an inky black portal opened in front of us. She then took my hand and gently lifted me up. The two of us then walked hand in hand through the portal, back to hell, back to home, back to my family. And that's it.
Fuck.
Oh my god, this is I never expected to hear this today, but here we are. On one hand, I'm not going to bash on it. This was actually pretty decently presented. Good job, Tarek. And material isn't exactly bad either. I cannot say that the material is bad at all. I mean, it is questionable, but
Hey, I ain't about to king shame nobody. You should see the disgusting shit that gets my engine turning.
I mean, yeah, we all have our things, I guess.
Hold on one. Apologize. Hold on.
It was right in front of my fucking grapes.
Nobody thinks about the grapes. Nobody considers the poor grapes.
Yes, I know. Every single fucking time I try to eat my grape, he comes up, this is a good double D with extra detox on. And I was like,
I typed it into the private chat.
Sorry about that. Everybody just came home all at once.
You were home alone. That explains why you did it.
Actually, my dad was in the other room when I was reading this.
Oh my god.
I see.
Imagine like barges in and he asks, "Are you winning, son?"
You're damn right I am.
Oh, he winning. He winning all the things.
Indeed, you were winning. But now everybody is home again.
So, anyways,
you had to finish it. I see.
If in fact, that's why I had to stop. My dad was asking me for some cash, they're going out tonight. They need tip money. No one carries cash anymore but me.
Tip money. Here.
Anyways, what did you guys think though? Like I was hearing from Wissia, but what did you guys think?
Well, I mean, I've not read the comic that it's based on, so I can't comment on its adherence to canon. But let's see. Yeah, I thought it was decent. It was decent. I could probably say more if I was familiar with the source material.
Well, the thing is that it's supposed to be removed from the source material. This is the whole thing with this comic, with this story, was that it was sort of the epilogue to the comic, in my opinion. That's why I didn't feel you kind of don't need to know what happened in the comic, because it wasn't like an arc comic. It was a bunch of gag comics that had a pseudo arcs, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be funny. I thought it was just summing up how to have a relationship with a succubus. But okay.
I've been on X, but I've never gone into those threads. Okay.
Well, you did a good job at representing the succubus the way a succubus is supposed to be working. So yeah, I must say you did a good job on that.
Yeah,
have you met many succubuses, Johan?
I did. I killed it in hell.
No.
Fair enough.
I was playing a goddamn paladin, and then I asked my god, like, can I get rid of this bitch? Well, she's in love with you. How are you gonna do it? Well, you need to go to hell and then kill her there. Okay. So we had a whole quest about killing her in hell, and then nobody believed me because I was the only one there.
But anyways, the whole thing with the whole philosophy behind this was, when I was doing this, I thought to myself, what would happen if he did leave? What kind of mental state would he be in after a year, literally in hell, with like 2 succubuses and a fallen angel? And I said, I don't think anyone would be able to recover from that.
Yep.
Well,
Look,
it's like any
depends.
after trauma. It's more dependent upon the group that you find yourself with afterwards than it is on the actual event itself.
It was also that in the comic, like I said, it wasn't a very story driven. It had a story, but it wasn't like a big story driven comic. is that you got to see these guys or these characters outside of the kink thing. You got to see them hanging out as regular people, and that's kind of what I always loved about it more than anything else. It wasn't the fetish. It was the way the characters bounced off each other, because these people were really good characters, if I had to be honest.
That's normally always right with hentai. Every character is good,
Yeah.
one way or another.
I actually do have some actual commentary that I wanted to provide.
Okay.
And
Dear God.
yeah, this is a pretty accurate depiction of what lust does to a person, how a human being would be like after being in that situation for a very long time. You just can't. If you go too far in, too deep, it will become the only thing that you ever think about, and it will consume you as a person. It will ruin you. So, yeah, this I'm not going to lie. I was like kind of giggling and laughing a bit, not because it was bad, but because of the
Description.
novelty. Well, yeah, a little bit of that, but also because I didn't expect to be hearing it. But at the same time, this was kind of harrowing, if you will. God damn it! I can't pronounce that word today. Trip, shut up. I know how that sounds. Shut up. God damn.
Too deep.
But
Yes.
yeah, no, this is on one part I hear this, and I kind of feel horrible for this guy because I kind of know.
I have fucking stories I could tell you, but this is neither the time nor place. But I want to tell you guys the ending to this story. And what I mean by
Don't
that,
tell the ending. That's a spoiler.
it was I finished. No, what I mean by that is what happened after I wrote this. That's what I mean. So the whole reason I wrote this was because there was a contest, like I said, that the creator of the comic was doing. I entered with this, and I was going to get some actual artists, like, very talented artists. I came out on top, and I still have no idea how that happened.
Damn.
Congratulations.
Well,
Very well done.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, this is what we would like to call the bad ending in a video game.
Actually, no. In the context of the series, this is the best ending.
This is the best. Oh boy. Oh.
Oh no.
It's not fire and brimstone hell. It's more like
Hell's
anime
Hotel.
hell.
yeah. Actually, yeah. Done was the closest to what the
God,
environment
please
is like.
not. Please don't.
It's what?
Husband Hotel. It's a show where the daughter of the devil. Yeah.
I've watched that several times. Pretty good. They overused the word entertainment so goddamn much that I lost all meaning, and it was a bit sporadic. A little too many sound effects.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It almost felt like it was edited by somebody with ADHD.
But anyways, I the prize I won was a picture from the guy, and I'm not going to share that here.
Oh. Okay.
No, it wasn't one of those. It was not one of those. But it's because I think the picture has my name on it, like my actual first name, Tiberius.
I find it very funny that you're like, I got a picture.
I got a free commission.
Oh.
I got a free commission.
Yeah, but it sounds so wrong if you find the context of what the hell this story is all about.
And thus, you know the context of the picture.
Therefore, it's very inappropriate. Children, don't do this kind of shit in front of your parents.
Becca has seen the picture. I could post it here. I just don't want to because it has my name on it.
Just don't.
All right, sure. But
Just don't
yeah,
do it.
Maybe we should start
thank you
calling him Caesar rather than Tarek.
What?
Yeah.
He
Ave
already got-
Caesar.
Wait, he already had then 21 stabs in the back then? Damn.
Yeah.
Well, no,
So
Tiberius Caesar was a Roman emperor.
Oh, I thought about Julius Caesar.
There's more than just Julius
Yeah.
Caesar, you Roman racist.
there's also Octavius Caesar. There's who later on became Augustus, and yeah, pretty much a whole bunch of other people who called themselves Kaiser after.
Well, too bad, too sad. I
Julio
have my
Kaiser.
salad how I want it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Also, I don't have Photoshop Trip, so that's not an option.
Dun dun dun.
So basically, long story short, Tarek, your presentation today is why I have lust as near the bottom of hell, like one of the deadliest of the sins, deadlier than most of the others, barring pride.
All right.
True.
Okay then.
Ok.
Anyway,
All right. Well, I am glad you all enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm also
Indeed.
glad you did
It was
enjoy it as
very
well. It was great.
What were we saying, Dan?
Oh, I just think that it was very, very cleverly written.
Oh, thank you. I do like writing an addiction story. It's very easy.
yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah, person is pretty single-minded. Also, yeah, never mind. I won't even mention it. It's in a private chat. You can look at it.
Private chat.
You know what? If I can edit the picture enough to show the character without doing the giving the names away, I'll show it on here. While I'll see if I can edit it while I think Carl's reading.
Okay.
It's all right.
Wait, why?
Alright.
Okay.
Name sharing stuff like that. I think.
Yeah, it has names on it that I don't want. I don't want you
Sure.
guys looking this guy up and bothering him.
No. Yeah, all right. That's fair.
It's not like I want to.
Anyway,
We'll see ya. What do you got?
all right. So, today I'll be presenting the next chapter, Respite. However, for a start, this chapter is technically not yet finished, but it's also coming on to about 3,000 words long, so I will be splitting it in half today and presenting only the first half of the chapter. So next week I'll be presenting the rest of it, God willing. But anyway, for context, Rosa had a near-death experience at the hands of Irene, who she discovered is a cyborg wielding the same exact weapons that Lennon, a character from earlier on, was wielding. She's going through some pretty negative emotions at the moment. However, there's something else going on that needs addressing. So, without further ado, I'll be presenting to you well, I've completely lost track of the number at this point, but I'll just be presenting the next chapter, Respite. Cluttering and clanking echoed down the corridor. Brutalist gas-fueled metal braziers lit up the dark basaltic interior, illuminating the many varied portraits of infernal, winged metallic monsters, striking down flesh and blood humanoids. The victims of their faces, painted perfectly to encapsulate their horrified expressions, as divine golden spears were driven through them. Other portraits still depicted these very same skeletal creatures, posturing as civilized, constructing great fortresses and towers, and raising their banners over the piles of their butchered and incinerated victims. Sights that had long ago become mundane to Captain Michael Angelos as he marched into the meeting room. His powered armor was jet black, made to resemble the archaic Urupani designs from ancient Earth, with overlapping plates, crosses, and a great helm, the visor slit burning and glowing a bright crimson. A pallid tabard was thrown over his chest and buckled around his waist by the scabbard of his sword. His guards, the infernal mechanical monsters portrayed in the paintings, escorted him to the great doors, the two armed with something resembling a firearm. Then he stopped, standing patiently in front of the pitch-black gates. Then a faint red glow crawled across its surface, illuminating the calligraphy and an eye at its center. It flashed as the golden ring around it rotated in place. A loud screeching sound ruptured as the doors parted with a stony scraping sound. The baleful red light shone on Mikael as the doors opened, and he stepped through. The chamber was a dark mirror of the Joint Chiefs meeting room, the tall glass windows providing a view of the hellish landscape as a crimson light beamed through. Its interior was as dark as the corridor, with golden trimmings ornamenting it. At the table sat Hattori and the entity called Yajuj, with a gunmetal figure staring out a window. Hattori looked up at Mikael and scowled. The head of intelligence was dressed in a powered armor of Amaterasin make. The plates adorned in muted cobalt scales like a deep-sea serpent, and a dark gray robe worn over it, with the right side folded over the left. His ghoulish fanged helmet rested on the table, his piercing orange eyes meeting Mikael's. Late again, Michael. Mikael squinted, the glow of his visor narrowing as he did so. There was a situation on the surface. Some curious Dominixes stepped too close to our facilities, he explained, his eyes wandering to the empty seat at the center of the table. Where is Lord Jaliel? In the Ranak system, Yajuj answered with an arid voice, negotiating a new set of terms with Lazarus Cybernetica. Mikael nodded and walked around the table to his seat, his hand over the pommel of his blade. I see, he muttered, removing his helmet and setting it down, revealing his young, pallid face and oily black hair. Well, given our recent close calls, he said, glaring at Hattori, I imagine he's getting quite irritable. A vicious, raspy voice boomed in the chamber, startling the two. Indeed, Michael. The two glanced behind themselves, seeing that the chief strategic officer, Maul, had turned to face them. His armor was decorated gunmetal with broad shoulder pads trimmed with brass. His helmet was vaguely shaped like the Urupani Stahlhelm, yet the faceplate featured sunken eye lenses, prominent cheekbones, and a wreath breather. But we have more pressing issues at hand, he said, walking to his seat. Mikhail shuddered. Jesus Christ, Maul, you scared the shit out of me. The chief strategic advisor stopped in his tracks, looking up at the captain of the guard. How disappointing! And here I thought you'd never take the Lord's name in vain. He snickered, watching Mikhail glance away. At ease, soldier, he said, taking a seat. Now, for the first item on our agenda, he opened, looking at Hattori. How goes our latest intelligence development? The head of intelligence blinked, turning his ire away from the Pawnee. Ah, yes. Project Heart of the Hydra has been a stunning success. Nexus is fully online and operational. Our data scientists have just finished training it. As it stands, it is the first of its kind. So long as it doesn't develop sentience or expand its parameters to general intelligence, it will greatly enhance our ability to gather and manipulate information. Excellent, Maul exclaimed. Lord Jaliel will be pleased to hear of such progress, as much as our associates when they find their rivals mired in scandal. Indeed, Hattori nodded, turning his gaze to a relaxed Mikhail. Speaking of scandal, the chief strategic advisor tilted his head, glancing at the captain of the guard, his tone becoming deathly. Is there something you'd like to add, Hattori? Yes, there is, Hattori replied, tapping his desk. I was just in the nerve room a few minutes ago. I was informed that Team Delta will proceed with securing Agent L1737 as planned. However, Team Lambda recently received orders not to extract Agent I5373. Mikhail squinted, folding his arms and drawing Hattori's ire. Such orders would have to be given by someone of equal standing to me. However, whoever issued said orders would also be stepping out of their jurisdiction, and such orders would be short-sighted at best or sabotage at worst. The two stared each other down, Hattori's piercing gaze meeting Mikhail's blind fervor. Eventually, the captain of the guard confessed. She disobeyed direct orders and attempted to murder Assassin P2, nearly jeopardizing our operations. She isn't worth extracting. Hattori's nose wrinkled. Yes, her insolence shall be dealt with, Michael. However, did you stop to consider that what it means to have someone with knowledge of our entire operation in the hands of the enemy? Mikhail smirked. Maybe if you were so worried about that, you'd show some more initiative. Then again, I understand it's in short supply these days, right, Yajuj? He quipped, glancing back at their executive logistics officer. Hattori sneered at him, his eyes burning with seething rage. No, but what isn't in short supply these days is the impulsiveness and an insolence one would expect from a punker. Mikhail's eyes burst into flames, his veins glowing. Say that again, Amat. I dare you. Really? Why is that? About to have a meltdown, snowflake. Mikhail slammed the table as he roared. I'll melt you down to slag, you twisted-eyed piece of... A loud bang ruptured in the room, paralyzing the two men in place. They both paused and turned to face an armed and standing Maul, his pistol pointed to the ceiling. If you two are done, Maul returned his revolver to its holster and folded his hands behind his back, glaring at the Urapani and Amaterasin. Gentlemen, need I remind you why we're here? We stand here united in purpose. We have been granted a chance that all who reside here would do more than just kill for. We have been given a chance to wipe the slate clean. Mikhail sighed and hung his head while Hattori groaned. Leave this petty, earthly rivalry in the grave where it belongs. Our purpose here is greater than this, transcending time, space, race. He paused, looking at Yajuj. Species. The two bickering humans paused, looking at the only Corvenra in the room. Now, Maul opened, taking his seat. Share your objections with civility, lest you'd rather I resolve it without. Mikhail sighed, tapping his fingers on the desk, producing the only sound in the chamber until he spoke. Lord Jaliel's getting impatient. He grows tired of the charade. Assassin P2 has been in enemy hands for almost half a year now. Hattori took a deep breath and nodded. Of that, I am painfully aware. Then you understand my reasoning. My intention was to reassign Team Landa to prepare for the extraction of P2. Did you not think I had already had a plan in motion for her? Mikhail blinked. No, I wasn't aware that. Of course you weren't. Hattori cut him off, leaning back in his seat and addressing the room. Be sure to let Lord Jaleel know our pink-haired friend will be extracted and returned safely here by tomorrow night. She gasped, pupils shot open, hands clutching the bed sheets. Lucia's lungs expanded and contracted rapidly and erratically as she blankly stared at the ceiling. The throbbing in her chest persisted as though her heart could burst out at any second. Her eyes started around, still feeling the horrid burning of the 1,000 stinging cuts. Jittering, Lucia made a vain effort to control her breath as she reached for the blanket, throwing it off and finding nothing. Her form was unscathed, her bronze skin unbroken, as though she were never harmed. Lucia let out a sigh of relief, resting her head back against the pillows, her lungs slowly expanding and contracting with every breath. Liz? Her ears twitched. Lucia lifted up, spotting Tara sitting across the room. Are you alright? Lucia swallowed, catching her breath. Yeah, fine. It's just, it kinda had. It was another nightmare. Her eyes wander off, barely seeing Tara frown in her periphery. Do you want to talk about it? Lucia squinted before it all came rushing back in. She shuddered, wrapping her arms around herself. I'd rather not. Tara's lower lip curled out as she hung her head and folded her hands. Lucia glanced up at her, hearing nothing but the deafening silence. Then Tara sighed, rubbing her eyes. All right. Well, I was planning on going out today. You can tag along if you want. Lucia smiled softly. Yeah, that'll be nice. Just give me a moment to clean up first, she said, getting out of bed. Tara nodded, smirking as Lucia walked up to the door. Sure thing, just don't take so long. Only got one shower after all. Lucia rolled her eyes. When do I ever take long? Tara tilted her head, cocking an eyebrow. Seriously? With hair like that? When don't you? Lucia scoffed. Fine. Guess we could stop by for a haircut today later on. Always wondered how I'd look with short hair. Tara relaxed, folding her arms. All right. Sure thing, Wiz. Just get on with it. I'll be waiting. With that, Lucia opened the door. All right, see you in a bit, she said, entering the aqua-colored bathroom in the door with the door sealing behind her. She slid open the transparent shower and stepped inside. The small screen placed up front flashed to life. Lucia tapped in her user settings, feeling the warm water pour down on her. She went through her routine, the water washing away the stress and tension into the drain below. Eventually, Lucia glanced back at the screen, seeing the timer run out and the valves sealed with the door opening. Stepping out, Lucia snatched a towel from the rack and started drying off, standing in front of the mirror as she did so. She glanced at the time, weather, and date displayed, her face slowly turning pale. Shit. Tomorrow? I told them I'd be going back then, but oh my god, it's tomorrow. Lucia thought to herself as she wrapped the towel around her hips. It's alright. I'll be ready this time. Blinking, Lucia turned her attention to her reflection. Her lean bronze-colored form still shone after the wash, as did her long pink hair. Her eyes darted down to the table below, spotting a pair of scissors. Oh shit, she exclaimed to herself, eyes shot open. Guess I can get that haircut here instead. She smiled, then reached for her hair, straightening it out, and placed her fingers around the strand and measured it in her mind. Then she spotted it, the scar running over her left eye. She shuddered, releasing the strands. Lucia felt the hairs on her neck sticking up as she reached for it. Shivering still, she ran her finger over the scar, still feeling the indentation on her face. What? It's still there? After all this time? Lucia glanced down at herself. the large Lucia glanced down at her chest, the large round shapes uninterrupted by any such marks. She squinted, reaching for him when she heard a whisper in her ear. What are you doing? Lucia froze. Her pupils shrunk. The warmth evaporated from the bathroom, and an icy cold wrapped around her neck. Her eyes glanced up at the mirror, seeing the snarling shadow of Irene loom over her shoulder. Cover those up, you stupid pampered whore. Lucia's eyes tensed, glistening as the warmth left her body. You're an officer of the Corps, aren't you? Then act like one. Then, shaking and shivering, Lucia wrapped her arms around herself. The shadow smiled, grinning viciously as though satisfied. But instead, it laughed. Useless. So horribly useless. You can't hide those any more than you can hide what you really are. Soft, worthless trash. The least you could do for yourself is just chop those things off. Lucia winced, feeling the stinging of the open wounds form across her, seeing her blood slip from between her arms. Go ahead. You want to look respectable, right? Like you belong here. You've got the tools just right there. It'll be easy. Her eyes darted down to the scissors, seeing the glowing infernal blade in its place. Her pupils grew, the glow bouncing off her retinas as the pulsing in her head became louder. What's wrong? Afraid? Need me to do it for you? Irene laughed as Lucia's tears froze and her breath became visible. Lucia? She shook her head, hearing a knock at the door. Come on, what's taking so long? Lucia blinked, her breath long and heavy. She glanced down at herself, seeing that she was holding the scissor blades to her chest. Her streaming eyes widened as she dropped them into the sink. The knocking came again, this time louder. Lucia, are you all right in there? She felt her veins pounding in her temples, and the air slowly freezing her. She grimaced, sealing her streaming eyes. Give me a minute! She shouted, gradually catching her breath and wiping the tears from her face. Lucia stared at herself in the mirror, hearing a meek and soft voice through the door. Okay. She trembled, looking down at her reflection, her nose wrinkling as she sniffed. She undid her towel and folded it beneath her shoulders, covering herself entirely. Lucia opened the door and stepped out. Tara was sitting across the room on her own bed with a hunch, her hands folded between her legs. With a scowl, Lucia walked up to her wardrobe, prying out a pair of black jeans, a leathery jacket, a pink shirt, and even a complete set of undergarments. She put it on with an assertiveness and vigor before hearing Tara's voice chime in. Wes, her brows pulled together. Lucia pivoted, her gaze meeting the huntress. Are, are you sure you want to wear all that? I mean, that's a lot of layers, even for me. Lucia huffed, sealing her jacket with the sweat already forming across her hairline. It's cold outside. With a sigh, Tara got up and walked to the bathroom door. All right, well, I'm just gonna have my turn, clean up, then we'll head out, okay? Lucia shrugged. Sure, she replied, pulling out her H card and looking up the weather. And that is where I will stop for today.
Okay, so this was very early on, but when the technician says as long as the algorithm doesn't develop sentience, now the algorithm is going to develop sentience. Just to
Dun,
start.
dun, dun.
Yeah,
It
maybe.
wasn't even going to do it before, but now just because he said, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to become sentient.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Nexus is an old concept, and it isn't supposed to be introduced for a long time from now. So, yeah. But yeah.
I love it when things happen out of spite. It is always fun.
Yeah.
Agreed. That was a good
So-
one.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
the conversation with the other with the different races was also very nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually kind of a running theme that's supposed to be developed later on throughout the series as I go. And yeah, it's just one of those things that I wanted to explore between the protagonist and antagonist side. Like, yeah, sure, the antagonists are horrifically evil, but they're united in commonality for some higher purpose, which is something that I feel is a little compelling and interesting to explore and contrast, even. Anyway, any other comments on the conversation between Hattori, Maul, and Michael? And
Yeah,
I know.
Yes, actually. I heard something about personal shower settings. What did you mean by this?
Huh? It was just an idea that I basically just threw out over there because I was thinking, yeah, so this is like a sci-fi future, right? And given the way that technology is progressing, I thought, this might actually become a thing. Like, some people, whenever they take a shower, they prefer cold showers. Some people will prefer hot showers, and it'll probably just be a lot more convenient to like just select a setting and press a button, and boom, you just have it, rather than having to wait for like the water to heat up or something.
Feels like the water would have to wait to heat up anyways, but I thought you were talking like, I don't know, pulse settings or something.
No. I mean, I guess that could be a thing, but
Does the AI determine that too? Is there like a camera just looking in, going, I think you would like setting 3 the most.
you know what? That could actually be a thing.
The
Like,
Microsoft Word paperclip comes along. It looks like you're trying to have a long, hot shower. Would you like some help?
I know. I wanted to see what he has to say when you have the cold shower.
yeah, because like, here's the thing. I realized halfway through, like at some point in my writing, that wait a second, this is a freaking sci-fi. We right now are developing insanely advanced artificial intelligence. Why the fuck is it not in this story? And I decided, let's add it into the story. Let's make it a thing. I mean, I already have androids. Like, this is like the precursor to androids, so why not?
Fair enough.
Anyway, anyone's thoughts on Rosa's PTSD?
I'm pretty sure a good time with that pulse setting will make her forget all about it.
Oh god damn it, Tarek. But yeah, no. Any thoughts on the direction that I'm going with her.
I'm curious as to where it's going.
Yeah, it's good. So
I mean,
just keep it in the same way, and probably it will be fine, I guess.
yeah, I mean, I kind of shocked myself when I was sitting there writing this, and I thought, wait a second, let's go and see if we can like push it a little bit. Let's have her almost mutilate herself because of how horrible she's feeling. I mean, it's close. The event that sparks all this is recent enough that she would be this bad. Like it would be this bad for her. And yeah. I mean, any thoughts on like Terra's characterization on this bit over here?
Sorry, I'm still stuck on the fact that we have AI that can do shower settings. That to me is just like, what the fuck?
No. You misunderstand.
No things.
I heard you say that. I'm like, you know what? That could probably be a thing in the setting, considering how freaking huge the galaxy is and how varied all the different subsystems within the USR is. Like Urupan and the Amaterasin system, those are both systems within the United Systems Republic. And there are so many more as well.
I have just strong feelings that that system is going to be abused. That goddamn shower system. Hey, play that one just play that one, with the romantic lights. Got it. Playing Hearts of Nights.
I'm sorry, Wissia. I'm sorry. I did this to Neff back when she was on all the time. The moment I hear one idea, that kind of gets my gears turning. I cannot, and not in that way. Just an idea that has so much potential, I can't stop thinking about it.
So much money to be made off of it. I agree.
You know what?
Oh, if we could get feet first to market, we could make a fucking mint.
You know what? Fuck it. Why not put in like a freaking sultry sour scene where she has like the pulse settings and she's abusing it?
It is definitely misuse, You could even make sure, like, hey, AI, kill this person by releasing too much hot water. Ah, yes, okay.
Or has anybody here seen Winter's Tale?
No, but I've seen
I've
seen Sleepaway Camp. Same thing, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
What's the thing where a girl dies because she gets too hot?
I was thinking about the scene where the camp cook has a pot of boiled water thrown on him. Like it's literally bubbling at 400 degrees.
No, basically Colin Farrell has sex with this girl, but because she has an overheating disease, she dies when they bone, and since he's on top.
Was it good for you, baby?
I don't know.
Yes, she dies of sexy, I guess.
Imagine people made out of sugar and then they take a shower. Ooh.
Oh my god.
They just melt away in front of me. It was horrible. What did you put in there? I put in there saltpeter sulfur. Ah, yes. Lovely.
Yeah, anyway. Any thoughts on Maul over there in that scene?
For the last time, no, I'm too busy thinking about the shower idea.
Okay, Tarek, I'm just gonna discount you from further discussions.
Fair enough.
we kind of forgot about the whole damn thing. So, we kind of forgot about the whole other characters instead of the shower.
God damn it, Tarek, you ruined everything again.
You made everything better.
Well, you have a good advice, You just make the AI evil and then they won't be using it anymore. Done. And then Tara can no longer complain.
And they all look, Trip, I saw that. I saw what you said over there. And look, Trip, the woman's chest is not equivalent to the male's genitals. They are literally on completely different parts of the body.
And still they produce the same thing. Milk. Ah! Ah! Ah!
I gotta tell you, I haven't had this much
Go.
fun on one of the showcases in a long time.
Go fuck yourself, Johan.
Well, I'm quite of a, how do you say that, Lords of Pans. So, I can bake everything good.
I can cook absolutely anything as long as there's instructions on the box.
That
I could
is
just
the
mix
same
things
for
up
me.
and then make something. I even make like pancakes with M&Ms in it. Was great, or Doritos in it.
Ugh.
What? Have you never done that?
Doritos and
Scouting?
pancakes?
Yeah, scouting was
Ew.
amazing. The girls loved it.
The girls.
Yeah, the girls loved it. We as the boys from the scout group were like, "All right, we will cook today." And then everybody was like, "Here, have our abominations. Take that." And then psych. And then we went for fries with some snacks.
I've seen some pretty foul things. Like I saw like a donut burger, and yours is somehow disgusting me more.
What you have a little bit.
It
You have
seems
a
as
little.
though you, sir, have not seen the Willet series by Good Mythical Morning.
No, I can't say that I have.
Oh, they do so many fun things like Willet Donut, including asking if nachos will donut,
Oh,
or
wow.
will charcoal donut.
Okay, nacho donuts would not be that bad. Honestly, it's cheese, so
Mhm. Anyway, yeah, I added in that little bit of because when I was writing this shit, I did a lot of research on what sort of things you can expect for somebody suffering from PTSD. So one of the things I noticed that I read was that drastic changes in behavior patterns. So yeah, that's kind of why I decided to have Rosa putting on a shit ton of stuff. Also, when I also the point I cut it off at when she's checking her basically her phone to see what the weather is outside. The next line was hold on, let me pull it out. The skies were clear, bright, and sunny. So yeah, it's not cold outside. She's obviously lying.
All right.
Okay. Anyways,
All right.
it's my turn now.
Yep.
Real quick before you go, Carl. I edited the picture. You guys want to see before Carl goes?
Sure.
Yeah,
Go
sure,
ahead.
I guess.
sure.
All right. This was the prize I won. Let's see here.
Ba-ba.
Hold on. Oh wait. What is that? Shit. Okay, hold on one moment. I just need to change one thing, and I apologize. Because it still has the file name. That's why I didn't realize that.
The file thing. You mean the name?
Yeah, the file name specifically.
Name of file .gg well .wmp. Done.
Okay. All right, now I can show it.
Oh God, a show.
Shut the hell up.
Her internal temperature seems to reflect her mood. That sounds like all women.
Well, yeah. Her whole entire power system works on how does she feel, and passion is directly correlated with what is this over here, Tarek?
What?
It's the new D&D class. Come on, everybody knows this one.
So is this now the male or the female?
It looks like a guy. It has to be a guy.
It's
Oh,
supposed-
thank you. Someone with a pair of working eyes.
Like
No, it's very confusing when you see the bottom line of it. He's way too slim. Let's put it that way.
he's a femboy.
That's what
Yeah.
Disgusting, filthy.
That
femboy.
makes your story. That makes the whole thing like I should really make a fan art out of this. It's like I should really make a fan wording about this. It's like that makes you're explaining that this is not hentai, all right? And then you're showing this picture.
This is totally hentai.
Yeah, that's like very sus. Very like
It ain't a
hmm.
hentai. It's not a hentai. And the
Bruh.
class was known as Incubus Night. And it fit
Uh-huh.
that was the class.
Holy shit!
All right, you're
Tarek.
splitting here.
I
Freaking-
trust Tarek mostly.
Hashtag done recommends.
I have never given you a reason to think I am lying to you.
No, I mean, no, I no,
I'm talking to
never
you. I'm
thought that
talking to
were-
everybody else.
Yeah, since
I have
back in-
noticed you from the moment you started. So hey, you know.
Freaking Rosa was more modest.
You know what? You know what's funny though about this whole thing? I can prove I won my writing was good enough to win a contest. How many of you can say the same?
I
Me.
can. I actually I have been proven that one of my models was actually worth it. That I went to a whole damn what is it again? A place
Bullet-
where you get invited, and then you need to show your model, and then I got it back home. So now I have the official model at home, and I won second to third prize, and I even got pie from it. It was at a university in Belgium.
Well, I won first place.
Well, one of my stories.
I still
was
won.
Hold on.
damn it! It was featured in a compilation at JordanCon.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really? Oh, that's neat.
Nice.
I got best title for one of my books.
Sweet.
Things. It's in a university competition.
My Mega Man fan fiction actually was the first fan fiction I ever wrote. Won like author of the month back in elementary school.
Wow.
So this is technically the second time I've won an award for fan fiction.
I really hated it that one of the parents that was actually an artist was constantly removing my failed art at my what was it, basic school, not the middle school, not the high school, the one elementary school. There you go. She always was like, "Oh, Johan was busy drawing. I will nick this, and then I will show this to my Then I will show this to my parents, and then look at this art." And then Grandpa was like, "Yes, inspiration." So he was actually inspired by the drawings that I made. It was quite fun. We still have the monuments at the at one of the cities. They are full metal works that are designed to be the watchers of the state. So they look like warriors with spears and shields. It's great.
Yeah.
The old man died, sadly.
All right. Well, I think it's time for Carl to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, if you remember from last time, they stopped by the pit to pick up a particular cargo, and now they are going to transport that cargo up out of the city, and we will see the beginning of that journey here in Chapter 25, A View of the City. Have we arrived already? Shenna asked as the boat slid into the narrow stall between the high stone walls and came to a stop before another wall of heavy pitch-treated timber. Of course not. We're still in Accra, Karna said, unfastening a single shem from her coin string and tossing it up to an attendant standing atop the stone wall. The man snatched the silver coin out of the air and barked out a quick series of commands. A few moments later, a pair of identical timber gates swung shut with a great boom, sealing the pen from the other side. Shenna looked around the stall as Karna retook her seat. The stone walls were not especially close, over 3 paces away from the boat on either side, but their immense height cast a thick pall of shadow which chilled the air even further below the already feeble warmth of a late autumn midday. What could this place be? The closest analog Shenna could find to compare it against was an animal pen in a stable or a farm shed, only for boats. Shenna remembered Karna saying that they would be traveling for nearly a week. Perhaps this was some sort of intermediate stop? It was worth thinking on, at least. Anything to keep her mind off that ghastly cargo stowed under the heavy tarpaulin at the front of the boat. Shenna was just about to ask when the boat suddenly lurched backward and bumped up against the wooden gate behind it. Moments later, the water around the boat began to churn and roil as though fed by an unseen spring. Then, slowly but steadily, the water level in the pen began to rise. "What kind of magic is this?" Shenna asked. "What do you mean?" Karna said, sounding genuinely confused. "What magic do they use to make the waters rise?" "It's a pound lock," Karna said. "There is no magic." Shenna blinked. "A what lock?" "Water from the upper levels is allowed to drain into the lock chamber," Karna explained. "Thus, the water level rises and eventually equalizes with the higher level, allowing for waterborne navigation to overcome differences in height. All without using so much as a spark of magic. Why waste valuable energy when an alternative presents itself?" "That's incredible," Shenna said, staring transfixed as the water level slowly climbed up the sides of the pen. A stone ladder set into the walls served as a measuring rod against the water's height. Shenna counted 24 rungs, each about 2 handspans apart, only for the bottom rung to slip below the water before she was done counting. "You did read about the establishment of the Northern Canal during the course break, didn't you?" Karna muttered, thoroughly unimpressed with the miraculous rising waters. "I could have sworn that was covered in the comprehensive history of the Free City of Accra." "Oh, yes, of course," Shenna quickly bluffed. "I remember reading about the establishment of that. I must have just skimmed the part where they went over the specifics, or perhaps the book didn't go into great detail, or maybe..." Her explanations fizzled out when it became clear that Karna was no longer paying attention. The waters eventually stopped rising, with only 3 rungs of the ladder still dry, and the gates opened at the front of the lock. Or was it the back? Whatever. The boat continued forward towards another lock a few hundred paces ahead, where the process repeated itself. And yet another lock lay beyond that, with even more locks already visible in the higher off distance. "How many of these are there again?" Shenna asked timidly, hoping that Karna's indifference would keep her from discovering the bluff. 10 locks, Karna said. "Each one 7 paces high, a total height of 70 paces. "Right," Shenna nodded. That was another odd thing about Accra that she still wasn't accustomed to. Measuring height in paces. Back in Riverwatch, vertical dimensions were always reckoned in handspans. Even taller objects like houses, trees, and signposts were measured so, using ropes knotted at different intervals. But here in Accra, they used paces instead. Everyone Shin had asked would merely just say that it was a waste to use separate units for different directions. But that was clearly nonsense. After all, how could someone measure a wall's height in paces? By walking up the side? Oh, who was she kidding? Magic could probably do that. At least the conversion rate of 6 handspans to a pace was simple enough. The afternoon was more than half spent by the time the boat slipped out of the final lock and onto a ramrod straight canal that stretched off into the distance. The stone forest of buildings that defined Accra had vanished like a lifted fog, and in its place a vast, gently rolling moor stretched off to the very edge of sight where it mingled with the shadows of even more distant mountains. The noise of the city was gone as well, replaced by the whisper of empty winds and the soft splash of water against the boat paddle. Shenna looked in the other direction, only to find her vision blocked by a towering earthen berm, barely 2 paces away from the water's edge. Beyond the berm, only empty sky was visible. If Shenna didn't know about the massive city hidden just beyond it, she might have thought this the very edge of the world itself. "Are you hungry, Shenna?" Karna asked suddenly. By the time Shenna was able to respond with an automatic, "Yes, Magistress," Karna was already rummaging about in the cargo packs. After the woman pulled out a small ceramic jug with a pouring spigot on one end and runes painted on the other. A water sifter. Shenna listened as Karna described the inner workings of the device and demonstrated its proper use. Karna dipped it into the canal and scooped out a full measure of the muddy water. Then she made a subtle gesture up along the side of the vessel, with magic from a crystal in Karna's free hand flowing into the water, lifting all the impurities from the canal up into a thin layer of scum at the top of the water sifter. Karna then poured out this top layer, leaving only clear, purified water behind. But then water's only so much good without food to go with it, Karna explained, bringing out next a pair of shallow bowls made of the same ceramic material as the water sifter and covered in the same sort of runes. Karna pulled the boat over to the side of the canal and scooped up a handful of mud from the bank and glopped it into the bowls. Then, with a crystal in each of her free hand, Karna made a circle around the edge of each bowl. Shenna watched as the mud seemed to melt down like rendered fat and slowly swirl with magic for about half a minute before solidifying into a thick white substance, which Karna peeled out of the bowls in a single solid piece. "And that's all there is to it," Karna said, handing one of the strange cakes to Shenna. The substance was cold and somewhat squishy in her fingers, like really soft cheese or perhaps uncooked oyster meat. And Shenna could see the faint image of her fingers through the translucent mass. After a moment of hesitation, Shenna gingerly opened her mouth and took a small, careful bite. It tasted like nothing. Shenna blinked. It didn't taste good or bad or even just unfamiliar. There simply was no taste at all. Snow had more flavor. And chewing was little help. The substance quickly broke down into a slurry in Shenna's mouth and slid unceremoniously down her throat without leaving any texture or aftertaste. Shenna shivered. It was like eating emptiness itself. "Everyone reacts like that their first time eating manamborsa," Karna said, watching Shenna's reaction. Shenna struggled to put a suitably diplomatic description to this worse-than-bland meal. "It's quite filling." And it was true. Shenna could feel the cold, heavy lump of nothing in particular filling up her stomach like a rock. "Manamborsa is quite practical," Karna said, through mouthfuls of her own portion. "It has all the essential nourishment that a body needs to live upon. And it can be made almost anywhere, so long as you have access to magic. It's the perfect food for travel. Be sure to eat it quickly, though. It doesn't preserve well at all." By the time Shenna could force the rest of the manamborsa down her gullet, the boat had reached the end of the canal at last. The unnaturally straight channel emptied out onto a sheltered cove at the side of a river. To their left, the taciturn waters of the Rock River ambled out of the high valleys of the northern mountains, and to the right, those same waters tumbled unsuspectingly over the great waterfalls into Moon Lake, throwing up a sparkling cloud of spray that glittered in the sunset. "Well, we've reached Rock River," Karna announced. "And just in time for the sunset. What do you say, Shenna? Shall we have a look?" "Well," Shenna stammered, we should probably keep to..." "Oh, we've plenty of time for a quick stop to appreciate the view," Karna said, flagging the boat over to the shore. The two of them dismounted as the boat was grounded in the shallows, and Karna led Shenna up the top of the earthen berm just before it dropped back down into the river. The view that met Shenna's eyes at the top was like nothing she had ever imagined before. She could see clear across the lake, all the way to the sprawling delta of the Red River. The placid waters of Moon Lake stretched out below Shenna like a giant glittering opal. Only a handful of islets dotted the blue vastness, some barely more than rock piles with a smattering of mangy scrubs for greenery. others where mighty trees kept their stately court, and still others given over to manor houses and carefully manicured gardens. And at the far southern end of the lake lay Accra. All of Accra. On one side, the orderly tenements of the Blackstones rising in neat, easily organized blocks. And among them, the base of the canal from where they'd started out only hours ago. And right next to that, the Redstones, where Shenna could already pick out landmarks from her night journey with Talene and Padrig. Then there was the old city, its tight, narrow canals twisting in odd, irregular shapes like a wooden carpenter's puzzle. And of course, at the very center of all, the great spire that marked the magisterium grounds. There were other districts, too, that Shenna knew of only by name. The Lakeshore district, aptly placed upon the northern shore of Accra, with the luxurious palatial developments of the Clearwater district jutting out into the waters beyond like a proud jewel. Gold River had to be that area over between the Redstones and Clearwater, where grand marble facades and elegant colonnades lined with statuary and vibrant gardens boasted of wealth beyond measure. And of course, by that logic, Mudtown could only be that far-off district of shabby brick buildings through which the ruddy waters of the Red River poured like a sieve. "It all looks different from this angle, doesn't it?" Karna said. "It's magnificent," Shenna agreed. From high above and far away, the once towering buildings were shrunk into a size where they might be mistaken for children's toys. Courier boats rushing to and fro at great speed seemed to be plodding leisurely along with no great urgency. People went about their daily business along the canals like droplets of blood pumping through the beating heart of the world itself, completely oblivious to their wonderful tapestry, of which even the richest among them was only a small part. "This city is the culmination of all our labors," Karna said. "The Magisterium has watched over Accra for nearly 5 centuries, guiding her development, enforcing her laws, managing her finances and trade, chronicling her history, educating her brightest young minds, and all of it according to that great design that only the wisest minds can truly understand." "It sounds like a tremendous burden," Shenna remarked, still staring out across the cityscape. "An honor, too," Karna said. "And it shall be yours, too, before long. I don't doubt that you, in particular, are destined for high places among our ranks. Just think of it. Magistress Shenna, honored counselor of the Magisterium, with a seat of your own upon the conclave. Perhaps even High Lord Custodian itself. The entire city shall lie prostrate at your feet, bending to your will and worshipping you as a queen." "I hope I shall prove myself worthy of Accra," Shenna said, turning red to match the sunset from all the praise. "Let us hope that Accra proves itself worthy of you," Karna said. "Now then, come along, and we'll get back underway. It's 3 more days' journey yet up the river to Sparks Valley." As they returned to the boat, Shenna was beginning to suspect that Karna was starting to imagine her own face on Shenna. And that's that.
Nice. It's always great to hear your voice.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Interesting development.
I couldn't hear that. What is that?
An interesting development. Is
Uh,
my mic giving out? Hello?
Just a
We can hear
bit.
you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. This headset's getting old. But that's a pretty interesting development. This woman is clearly trying to groom Shenna for some sort of position. I, of course, am using that term in the correct way.
yeah.
One thing I do kind of love, we're both essentially writing, but and I mean me and you specifically are writing stories about like orphan girls trying to find their place in the world, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I love about the difference between the two of us is where mine is about like a girl trying to prove herself to the city. This one, Shenna specifically, is being told, well, you need to make sure the city is worth, is worth something to you, or it proves its worth to you. I just kind of love that difference between the two of our philosophies.
Yeah. I mean, well, we're getting up to a particular scene that I'm. It's the reason I wanted to write the book in the first place, where all that's gonna pop like a little balloon.
Yeah. I mean, this is actually a important bit of advice I would give to people, and that is that yes, it is admirable to help everyone out, do what you can to save as many as you can, but keep in mind, not everyone is worth saving, and some people would rather not be saved at all, while others still you just simply can't. They're too far gone.
What took you so long? Yeah, that is indeed so true. That is so true. Like, if you have an irredeemable person, then yeah, it's not even worth it to try to save the person, because the reputation of saving that person will cause your reputation to fall.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, of course, the question of does somebody even deserve to be redeemed in the first place? And redemption is a running theme that I wanted to explore.
Also, it's one of the sins.
It's one of the what?
Selflessness. There you go.
Selflessness considered a sin.
Yes, if you put yourself at a bus, and then you are the one that never takes the wheel, then life will always find a way to have a man with a hammer hit you in the back. And caring too much about people, and then causing them to change your ways of living, causing you to change as a person, is a very bad thing, because then you lose yourself, and if you lose yourself, well, that is selflessness. Selflessness. There you go. Yeah. Not selfish, not selfish, but selflessness. Putting yourself below other people constantly by helping them out, never caring about yourself, never caring about your health, never always trying to help others, making sure that they do their things to make them a better person, and eventually you will lose yourself and not, being able to help yourself at all.
Huh. All right. That's
Interesting.
That's actually fair.
Yeah.
That's actually fair, I would say.
extremely fair. Yeah. That is certainly something to consider. After all, you keeping yourself alive and well is in of itself a selfless action, because you can provide for others and help others, but you can't do that if you self-destruct.
Yes, indeed.
That's actually something that Rags mentioned in a video of his a while back. I think it was during the whole organized chaos shenanigans, and it was a pretty enlightening point of view.
I didn't even know Rags made videos.
Yeah, all this shit's on Dog Bites now. He doesn't upload the main channel for some reason.
But speaking of this, by the way, Dunn, do you mind if I leave? It is getting very late for me.
That's fine. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Anyway, good job, everybody. I am very proud of you
seeing you,
people.
Johan.
Yeah, thanks. And keep
Take
up the
care,
good
buddy.
work.
You too.
Thanks.
So, any last comments before we move on to Dunn?
I'm just gonna say I can't wait to own an actual copy of this book.
Thanks.
It would definitely be an interesting read. I'll give it that. Also, wait. I just remembered. Friggin' Shanna just looks at a basic waterlock system. He's like, "Oh my god, which magic are they using over here?" It's like, what? Not everything
Well,
is
even
magic, girl.
Yeah, that's one of the gags I've had in storage for a while. time. She's basically been, everything has been magic for months at this point. So the idea that you could actually do something without magic, throws her.
Yeah. It's like she's just been conditioned to assume it's magic at this point, and the second she sees a basic mechanical function that's pretty remarkable, she's just like, oh, it must be magic.
Well, I mean, if you've never seen a lock system.
I mean, yeah, I actually was talking with my little cousin about how something that looks remarkable to you right now as a little kid isn't actually remarkable at all. It's a piece of technology that's been around forever. And
just remember, kids, whimsy dies.
I don't know. I like those things, Tell that to train enthusiasts.
Fair enough.
All right, Dunn. What you got for us?
1 second.
Well, yeah, anyway, I also went on about how the technology that this little kid takes for granted was something that only existed in science fiction for me when I was his age. I tried explaining a whole bunch of shit to him, but he's a 9-year-old kid. He didn't understand jack.
True. That's kind of the case with all kids.
Yeah. Also, I don't know why I went into such detail with him. But he did call me smart, and that was pretty sweet. Even though
that
I don't
made you
believe
feel
him.
good.
Yeah, even though I don't believe him at all when he says that. Anyway, stay in school, kids.
All right.
Alrighty, so the second Dragonstrife. What has happened is one of the sons of the ruling queen has decided to run from his sister who had claimed the throne in a coup, and his sister attempted to chase after him with her dragons and her ships, but a freak storm pulled the battle apart. But conjured up by this strange ethereal creature, or this strange ethereal girl who seems to be some kind of god, at least, in a world that had its last gods killed by the first High Queen of the kingdom. And during the storm, both parties were pushed away, one out into the ocean, one back into toward the mainland, and the final one the other one is thrown far north. Alrighty. So this is chapter 13. In Licking Wounds. The storm raged for days, pushing Chimera and her ships far away from the battle site, all the way to the shoreline of Harag. Screaming in impotent rage, Chimera smashed her fist into the raining, causing pain to shoot through her knuckles and up her arm. They killed my son! Without thinking, she drew Darkfire and started hacking at the unresponsive railing until it was nothing but kindling. Still unsatiated, Chimera turned to see if anybody in her vicinity was immediately disposable. Unfortunately, nobody was around for her to kill. Gripping her sword in a white-knuckle grip, she strode over to Meraxi and climbed onto her dragon's back. At her urging, the large red and black dragon spread her wings and took off. Jaws opening wide, Chimera had Meraxia blast the area with a torrent of fire. The grass and rocks burned in the storm of fire that she unleashed on the earth, the sand turning to glass from the terrible heat. It took hours of a mitigated destruction action, but finally her anger was spent. Mostly. She still had the butcher's bill to take care of. This battle had been a disaster. Even if they had killed Hemlon and Liliana along with their dragons, Bale hadn't lost any ships, whereas Chimera had seen several of hers being destroyed by his brats. That horrible storm that had prevented her from killing her brother and his dragon. Snarling, she landed Meraxia on the ship, and as if they could tell that she had vented her fury, the sailors emerged, though likely they took comfort that her husband was on the deck along with his dragon. When Chimera dismounted, Meraxia padded over to Tyrannus and nuzzled the slightly smaller green dragon. "What are our losses?" Chimera demanded, folding her arms to keep them away from dark fire. At least 24 ships were burned to char in the ocean, and another dozen unaccounted for, very likely lost at sea, Charon related. Looking about as wary as a man could look, eyes darting around for some avenue of escape. Chimera cursed. That woman might have been right, but the pale maiden was against us, she hissed. Meraxia snarled and raked the thick wood with her claws. "That bitch shrugged off my fire like it was a breeze." She lashed her tail furiously. "I felt like a kitten again, completely powerless." "Do we know where Bale could have gone?" Chimera dug her fingernails into her elbows. "No." Charon shook her head. "Your brother's ships were lost to the storm. Wherever they are, it would take years to find them." "Then we'll take years!" Chimera bellowed, grabbing his shirt and getting in his face. "I will burn them all!" Bale and his family rode out the storm for almost 2 weeks, the powerful winds driving them further and further out into the ocean. Eventually it died down, but at that point they were completely lost. Once the storm dissipated, Bale and Shaleia leaped onto their dragons' backs and started desperately searching for their daughter. Meles and Catastrophe flew as far as they could before they were forced to return to the fleet. "She's gone." Shaleia shook her head as she dismounted, wiping her eyes free of tears. "We'll find her eventually," Bale promised, though he didn't really believe it. Silently, Shaleia took her head and walked away, putting her hand on her arm and slumping over. Bale didn't try to stop his wife from walking away. She likely wanted to be with Persephone, taking you with Eurydice. They still had one of their daughters with them. Torash stumped over to them, to the grizzled orc, looking sympathetic as he put his hand on Bale's shoulder. "I know the pain you are suffering with my prince." The familiar gesture was at odds with his respectful gesture and tone, but Bale appreciated having this rock at his side. "But you're going to have to act as a king now." "I know." Bale straightened and rolled his shoulders back. "What are our losses?" "Obviously, Hemlon and Liliana are dead, along with their dragons," Torash reported, clinical tone making the report even more chilling. 10 ships and their crews were unaccounted for, but 50 still remain. "That's something of a relief." Bale breathed out a long sigh. "My wife was lost among the ships, along with my own son." Torash grimaced. "Hopefully they will find us, but it's more likely that they are lost at sea, along with your daughter." Bale clenched his fist and pushed down his pain. He let himself grieve later. "We searched as long as we could, but we found nothing. That storm has driven us far away from any shores that we have charts for." Torash bared his fangs in frustration. "It's a miracle that we kept so many together rather than being scattered." "It wasn't a natural storm." Bale pursed his lips. "I saw something that should not have been, Torash." "The pale maiden that your mother saw?" Torash asked. "The same." Bale nodded and put his hands on the railing. Whatever happened, it's beyond my comprehension. The gods are on our side. Torash pounded his fist into his palm. Surely we should return and fight. If we can find our way back, Bale stared at the vast ocean. We'll need to start rationing water and start hunting for her sea life to prevent herself from starving. I'll start an inventory and set a guard on the water barrels. Torash nodded and stumped away to match words to actions. Where are you, Persephone? Bale whispered. Wherever you are, stay safe. Persephone and Cerberus fought the winds for what felt like an eternity before finally managing to land on a stray ship bearing her father's colors. For days, they hunkered down and let the storm push them wherever it wanted, until finally they reached land. Cerberus his tail absently and let out a yawn. It's finally quiet. The black and orange dragon swished his long, spiked tail absently as he surveyed the area with his bright argent eyes. I've never been here before. He prowled to the edge of the deck and gazed out over the wide landscape. I've heard stories of the lost North Kingdom of Cardolan. Stephanie stroked her dragon's neck as she followed his gaze. It seems as though we are there. We'll disembark and hide the ships, Princess. The captain of the ships, a human woman named Belle, walked up to her and bowed. If you could scout out the way, we would appreciate it. That sounds like a good plan to me. Persephone nodded and clambered onto Cerberus's back. I'll come back by nightfall. Spreading his wings, Cerberus leaped into the sky. Persephone and her dragon flew for hours, searching for any castles or places of residence. Most of the area had been devastated by Thanatos' fire hundreds of years ago, leaving a majority barren and uninhabited even after all these centuries. But there were still a few small towns and ruined castles left standing after all that time. However, it would take a long time for them to reach them on foot, and they'd have literal shelter on the buildings. Eventually, she wheeled her dragon back to inform the ship. When she arrived, she was shocked to see 10 more ships had landed close to the vessel she'd been on. This just got a lot harder. Persephone rubbed her shoulders, feeling strangely cold despite the heat that radiated from Cerberus. I'm not ready to lead these people. She gestured around at the crews disembarking from the ships in a thick mess. I'm only 12. We're their only defense against enemy dragons. Cerberus's response was immediate and defensive. We'll have to hide. Persephone shivered at the memory of Medea bearing down at her. Yeah. We can't fight anyone. Yeah, Cerberus deflated slightly. I've never been more scared in my life than at that moment. Swishing his tail, Cerberus descended toward the ground where all the people were disembarking. Among them was a large female orc with long braids hanging down her back. Hey, princess! A ghoul waved her arms wildly to pull Persephone's attention to her. Everyone's off the ships. Did you find a place we can shelter in? Persephone pointed. There's a couple of ruined castles a few miles away. Excellent. Gagul put her hands on her hips. Well, what do you think? Persephone thought for a moment, trying to figure something out. Well, we don't have any soldiers to fight my aunt, so we'll probably have to do what Aemon did and try gathering allies or hiding out in the mountains. Gagul nodded. There's still thousands of my kin in the deep mines. They're probably going to side with Chimera since she holds Aemon's blade and city. We will have to keep underground and start gathering strength. Yeah, Numenor and Sitharis are likely going to be extremely angry about Helen, Emlyn, and Liliana, so we could start building up support that way. Persephone trailed off as Gagul shook her head. Not Sitharis, princess. Gagul explained as gently as she could, but Persephone could tell that she was making an effort to be diplomat, to be frank. Sitharis is mostly colonists. warriors by and large, but they don't have the raw resources to commit to us. So that's why Liliana was willing to pal up with my dad. Persephone nodded. Well, we'll have to hide in the mountains until we can gather enough strength. I do like the idea of exploring the underground fortress deep in the old mountains. Google put her clawed fingers inside her belt. My ancestors haven't been in those halls for hundreds of years. Not since Mariel Dragonsbane destroyed the land. Well, it will be an adventure at least. Persephone forced some cheerfulness into her voice, but didn't fully succeed. Hopefully Mom and Dad can find us. And that's it.
There's
Well,
always good.
No, go ahead.
There's always family drama going on whenever dragons are involved.
Yeah, kinda.
Oh man.
Oh well.
Especially when thrones are involved.
Even freaking Merlin did this, for God's sake.
It's like the family car. It's my turn to drive. No, it's my turn to drive.
Oh my god, yeah. Quite literally.
I wanna rule Westeros. Fuck you, Dad.
I told you before, your older sister gets a turn first. Then once you assassinate her, sister, go into the other room. We're having talk here.
Lovely. Well, anyway, yeah, we jumped around a bit from points of views. I mean, it wasn't jarring by any stretch of the imagination, but I was like, oh yeah, that's something that happened. Forgive me because I'm not exactly caught up on the goings-ons of this story, but yeah, the storms be like that.
Honestly, for me, the most jarring thing was the random 2-week interlude. Just and then 2 weeks of storms, and then all right, we're here now.
Yeah.
Thank God we got past that very dangerous storm. That was really cool, and you didn't get to see.
Yeah, it's like in Othello, where they spend the first act talking about how the Turks are going to take Cyprus. Oh no, we have to get our troops there and everything. And then at the beginning of Act 2, it's fun. There was like a hurricane or something, and all the Turks are drowned. Okay, so that's fun. Now let's have this relationship drama. Sweet.
Yeah. So basically, I think what you can gather from over here, Don, is that we kind of wanted to see the storm.
Oh, this was kind of the storm had been going. We saw the beginning of the storm in the last chapter.
No. So we saw the storm that was approaching, provoking, black clouds and isolation and all that, but we never actually got to see it or know its name.
Not quite. So how it worked was it was actually a freak storm that appeared out of the middle of nowhere, created by magic.
That was
threw them apart. But yeah.
That was a Devil May Cry 5 reference.
I have never played that.
Okay.
I've heard it a lot, but I've never played it.
Okay, do yourself a favor, listen to Bury the Light, greatest song I ever heard.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Anyway, I don't really have much in the way of commentary over here. I mean, it was a good chapter. I did find it, like the characterization of the mother at the beginning, when she is about to freaking just murk some guy. I'm like, yeah, that's. I imagine somebody that you see that your son is killed. I imagine you'd react that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that one, I was very happy to write with that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that one bit in the story that's always just fun to write in general. I think like stuff involving a villainous character like that is it's one of them. Or just a character who's really pissed off about some stupid shit. or something really, really horrible.
Yeah, where she's clearly since she's very, very, very psychotic, and everybody around her is fully aware that she is nuts. But they're kind of afraid to do anything.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
a few generations of inbreeding will do that, don't you think, Dunn?
Just ask the Habsburgs.
Yeah.
So technically, that actually, this family isn't actually terribly inbred. This particular family, at least.
Oh, so there's okay.
So
They
latter
get it
Habsburgs.
later, at least with a particular set of generations. They're like, they get a little bit inbred, and then they eventually like, we need to stop. There's problems here.
Oh, thank God. Dunn has finally seen the light, people. No more incest.
Oh
He's just
Lord.
Give me some hope, Dunn. Please, just let me have some hope for once.
Okay, you can have hope. Deal?
Yeah. You get Ultra Kill fans get a little bit of hell as a treat. You get a generic hell level as a treat. I get a little bit of hope as a treat.
All right. Well,
I think that'll be it. And I'm thinking about doing a movie night watch sometime today. I'll have to figure out when dinner is, but I'm thinking right after this we'll just start something. Not sure what though.
Now, speaking of movies, yesterday we kind of had like a little bit of a movie-thon at my place. Me and my old man, we sat and we watched All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, okay. I've heard good things
watched,
about that.
Yeah, when I first watched it, I was like, eh. Second time, I nearly cried at several points in the movie. Not gonna lie, that shit was traumatic. Really, I think what really helps the film is how great the makeup work is and how visceral the whole story is. Like this film should have been a TV show, if you ask me. But still, what we got, it was definitely enough. It was enough.
Yeah, I was thinking. Well, the movie is Tremors for Wednesday, and it's Chef. It's Chef today. I almost forgot. Thought it was Chef. I forgot it was Chef. We'll see how it goes. Let me see what time.
I gotta get going, Done. So I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Yeah. All right,
okay.
later, Stark.
Been fun.
All right.
Yeah,
see you later. Bye.
Laters, everyone. Bye.
Enough! Kill me! Just end it.
No.
Yeah, that